And we begin. The artist is the creator of beautiful things. To reveal art and conceal the artist isn't art's aim. The critic is he who could translate into another manner or new material his impression of beautiful things. The highest as the lowest form of criticism is a mode of autobiography. Those who find ugly meaning in beautiful things are corrupt without being charming. This is a fault. Those who find beautiful meaning in beautiful things are the cultivated. For these there is hope. They are the elect to whom beautiful things mean only beauty. There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written. That is all. The 19th century dislike of realism is the rage of Caliban seeing his own face in a glass. The 19th century dislike of romanticism is the rage of Caliban not seeing his own face in a glass. The mortal life of man forms part of the subject matter of the artist, but the morality of art consists in the perfect use of an imperfect medium. No artist desires to prove anything. Even things that are true can be proved. No artist has aesthetic sympathies. An ethical sympathy is an artist or an unpardonable mannerism of style. No artist is ever morbid. The artist can impress everything. Thoughts and language are to the artist instruments of an art. Vice and virtue are to the artist materials for an art. From the point of view of form, the type of all the arts is the art of the musician. From the point of view of feeling, the actor's craft is the type. All art is at once surface and symbol. Those who go beneath the surface do so at their own peril. Those who read the symbols do so at their own peril. It is the spectator and not life that art really mirrors. Diversity in opinion about a work of art show how the work is new, complex, and vital. When critics disagree, the artist is in accord with himself. We can forgive a man for making a useful thing as long as he does not admire it. The only excuse for making a useless thing is that one admires it intensely. All art is quite useless. Oscar Wilde, 1890. And with this, we begin one of the most famous novels about decadence, beauty, sin, morality, and life. What am I talking about? Let's find out, shall we? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spiraken Book Club. I'm your host Zan, saying konnichiwa, aloha, bonjour, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're excited for another fun episode of this awesome podcast that you can find at www.spiraken.com. We are also on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and just any social media site. Just type in SPIRAKN and guarantee you find us one way or the other. And if you remember from that last episode from a month ago, we actually decided to do a book. And what book are we talking about? We are talking about the very famous, the classic Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Now, this is a famous book which deals with a lot of heavy topics. And this book about decadence and sin is a very famous publication that has influenced so many modern retellings and stories as well. It even had a point of characterization in the infamous LXG movie that ended Sean Connery's career. But I digress. So welcome to the book club, and we are live. We're actually talking on now. It looks like only one person is on here, but we'll should be getting more, so we'll see how it goes. And ironically, it says live in 8 minutes on the actual stream, which is kind of funny. But again, I digress. So let's actually get to it because, like I said, we are talking about this amazingly wonderful and sadistic and sad story of a young man who, due to another, mentor's influence, his life changed completely. Because if you've never read the picture of Dorian Gray, which is often confused for the portrait of Dorian Gray, it's a story of a young man who, when he's getting his picture painted, the painter Basil's friend, Lord Henry Wotton, shows up and starts talking to him. And Dorian is a young man who is very innocent of the world and he's very pure. And Henry is someone who is very sadistic, very, not evil, but he's someone who believes in hedonism, in the pleasures of the flesh, in that pleasure is fleeting, beauty is fading, live with it, live life. And when he explains this to Dorian, Dorian's entire mentality changes as he realizes, hey, I'm pretty now. I'm never going to be pretty like this again. Things are going to be bad. And one of the quotes that we actually have from this was very simple. Those who find ugly meanings in beautiful things are corrupt without being charming. This is a fault. Those who find beautiful things in beautiful things are the cultivated. For those there is hope. There is the elect to whom beautiful things mean only beauty. There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written. That is all. And this is about the beautiful meaning that you find in yourself and in life and in things. And there is a moment when he talks to Henry, and Henry's like, he's like, I'm not that beautiful. He's like, you're beautiful. And Dorian's like, no, 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 I'm not beautiful. There's no way I'm beautiful. And he pretty much says, no, you don't feel it now. Someday when you are old and wrinkled and ugly, when though are seared your forehead with its lines, and passion braided your lips with its hideous fires, you'll feel it. You'll feel it terribly. Now, wherever you go, you charm the world. Will it always be so? You have a wonderfully beautiful face, Mr. Gray. Don't frown. You have. And beauty as a form of genius is higher, indeed, than genius, as it needs no explanation. It is of the great facts of the world, like sunlight or springtime or the reflection of dark waters on that silver shelf we call the moon. It cannot be questioned. It has its divine right of sovereignty. It makes princes of those who have it. You smile? Ah, when you've lost it, you won't smile. People say sometimes that beauty is only superficial. That may be so, but at least it is not so superficial as thought is. To me, beauty is the wonder of wonders. It is only shallow people who do not judge by appearances. The true mystery of the world is the visible, not the invisible. Yes, Mr. Gray, the gods have been very good to you, but what the gods give, they quickly take away. And with this statement, this young man who was innocent, who would be someone who'd be sniffing the flowers, starts to change, become more obsessed with his beauty, with his life, with things, and getting involved in decadence. He's hanging out with this guy whose opinion is, oh, people who get married, they're stupid for getting married. And, oh, she's marrying someone again. Oh, that's because she's lonely. And he marries because he wants to risk it all because he loves his wife. And Dorian changes. He eventually falls in love with someone. But as he falls in love with them, he's just like, he sees a part of her that's not beautiful. And he's like, nah, I don't like you. You're weird. And because of his statements, the girl ends up killing herself. And Dorian's like, oh, my bad. I screwed up. But then when he tries to fix it, things are worse. And we also see that as the meaner Dorian gets, as the whole story is about, the painting that was painted in the beginning of the book changes with every evil act he does. When he first degrades the love of his life, the woman that he essentially betrays, Sybil, you see for the smiling face on the picture becomes a sneer. And with that begins the change. Where eventually, years later, Basil shows up to try to talk some sense into his friend. And he's like, look up the painting, look what you did. Pulls it off. The once beautiful picture that was an homage to Dorian Gray has become this hideous image. And what was the reason for this? Well, if it was Dorian that painted it, it would be he'd put a little bit of himself into it. They don't really explain how it happens. He admits that he doesn't want to get old. If only that painting would age instead of me, I'd be so much happier. And that is the crux of the curse or this situation that happened. I know that's not a great answer, but it's the answer to what it is. And let's be honest. It's one of those ones that just, who thoughts? And hello, welcome. Thank you for joining the chat. And like, for our questions we have so far, like, first one is that for the book club is, why do you think Dorian remains physically untouched while the painting, it shows the marks of his corruption? Is it that something Wilde is saying about the relationship between outer beauty and immortality, that, you know, don't judge a book by its cover, because no matter how beautiful something is, it could be rotten at the core? Or do you think it's just something more simpler than that? That just like anything beautiful is evil. Like he said, only the superficial appreciate beauty. It's what is your thoughts on that? Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? Do you think it's insane? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts on what you think. Or if you disagree completely and think it's completely nuts, the whole situation, the whole statement I'm making. Let me know on your thoughts as we're doing this. And more than that, actually, let's actually get to the second major quote I found from this book, which is an important one. Whenever man does a thoroughly stupid thing, it's always for the noblest reasons. It's one of the biggest conceits of this book is that when Dorian realizes things are screwed up, he tries to fix it. And like I said, it's a stupid thing he does to fix it. He tries to be like, oh, you know what? I've hurt the love of my life. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to leave. I'm going to join the opium den. And that makes things worse. It's like his noble reason is, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to penance myself. And then later at the end of the book, he's like, I'm going to repent for my sins. And when he repents, what happens? Well, he sees the truth of himself and what he's become. And horrified, as you'd know if you've read the book, he stabs the book. Or not the book, he stabs the painting and ages. Seeing the image horrified caused him to die. I know I'm being a little bit rambly. I know I am. It's a unique book. It's a book which is a reason why this is such an influential book. It's a book of depravity, and Dorian is such a interesting character because as you watch him, he does have his two, the angel and the devil, on his shoulder with Basil and Henry, because Henry is the one who has instigated all of this. He's the one that Basil's like, no, you can't meet Dorian. You're going to make things worse. Go home. It'll be fine. And Henry's like, no, I have to meet him. He's a pretty boy. I like him. I want to know more about him. And the minute that he meets him, he starts saying, oh, he starts saying these things which are hurting Dorian's feelings. More importantly, they're having him question his reality. And as this occurs, this is when we see that shift from this young man who in the beginning seems like an innocent soul to the depraved person who, like I said, tricks people into not hurting him, gets involved in some very hedonistic things due to pornography, and and eventually killing one of his friends. You have this devil who's been doing this, and then you have Basil who still believes that Dorian is a good person, that the real Dorian is the picture, and that he is good in himself. And when confronted about the painting, Dorian ends up stabbing him, killing the good in him. If that was all that was left, was Basil was that good angel. He stabs him just to be like, nope, we don't need it. And now I have is the devil to listen to. And it's kind of cool thinking about that, thinking about the dichotomy of man, how you have the two sides of yourself where one influences the other, and the representation of killing one side to succumb, and this leading to he just goes into it. Once he kills Basil, he just goes down into it. And then worse than that, he convinces a friend to help him to get rid of the body, and that friend kills himself. It's like, but he doesn't care. He's evil. Like I said, it's Basil's death is the catalyst for him being that vicious and evil. And not to be connected to the statement of the noblest, the stupidest things are done for the noblest reason. It's Basil in that point. Basil wanted to help his friend. It's a noble reason, but it was really stupid to be like, I'm going to criticize the psychopath. You don't do that. You don't mess with the crazy person. You know that if you're talking to a crazy person, you kind of keep your back to the wall. Your eyes are on them at all times. Basil forgot that. Yeah. Another quote, which is pretty good from this book. Life is a question of nerves and fibers and slowly built up cells in which thoughts hide itself and passion has its dreams. You may fancy yourself safe and think yourself strong, but a chance tone of color in a room or a morning sky, a particular perfume that you have once loved that brings subtle memories with it, a line from a forgotten poem that you've come across again, a cadence from a piece of music that you have ceased to play. I tell you that it is on things like this that our lives depend. This is similar to a quote which I use all the time, that life is the experiences you have. It's these nerves and feelings are what make us ourselves. And in this, it's the experiences which shape who we are. Every, like, you've heard the old adage, every point you make changes things. Like, you make a right instead of a left, that will change how your life goes. And in this situation, all of the points and things lead you to where you're going. And with Dorian, his choices have led him to the point of him going to the attic to look at the painting that he hid and him freaking out about it. And yes, there is a kitty who is doing a big stretch behind me. Big stretch. That's right. Yes, Maddie, the podcasting cat, is in a mood. She's resting. She's had a very long day of sleeping and eating and just playing. She's had a good day. But now that the cat break is over, let's actually talk some more about this. So, what are your thoughts on this? What are your opinions? Let me know. Leave a comment in the chat or email me at zanspiraken.com. Tweet me. Let me know your thoughts on if you think any of these thoughts make sense or if they don't, because this book was one which was engaging and unique. I will say that for my rating for this one I'm going to give a rating for is a quintessential story, but it's also like an infuriating story for so many reasons. A lot of stuff that Henry says is infuriating for various reasons. Part of it makes me wonder if that's actually what Oscar Wilde felt about certain aspects. We do know that Oscar Wilde was a closeted gay man, and there is evidence of that throughout the book. You could see evidence of it where he's mentioning it in some elements, this flowery language. But, or however, it impacts more into the fact that it leads into the elements of him using his experiences towards this, making me wonder if he is representing himself in certain characters. But that's a discussion for another day where I get more into the elements with that. What else was there? Well, I mean, well, next major question I had was, do you think that Oscar Wilde is endorsing the philosophy of going with your life regardless of the consequences, or is this a cautionary tale against it? Do you feel that it is that one where it's like, should you go be the guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to just get drunk and smoke and drink and eat, better to burn young than to fade away? Or is this is what happens if you do stupid shit like that? This is what's going to happen if you keep trying to enjoy life. I mean, what is the meaning of it? One of the basic questions in the whole universe is, what is the meaning of life? What do we do? Do we enjoy it or do we just live it? It's a very good question. It is one of those ones where, are you going to be the one who's going to go completely balls to the wall for it and don't give a damn about what happens? Or are you going to be the cautious person who's going to be like, nope, I'll stop and smell the roses, but I gotta just keep myself under control? It's a very slippery slope, because it makes me think of, with this situation, it makes me think of an alcoholic, where an alcoholic, they know they can drink. And if they drink, they're going to be all better, but they can't do it. And they hold themselves back. They have to control themselves, but always at the back of your mind, there's that gnawing, that little thought of, oh, just one drink, you'll be fine. You can control this, it'll be all right. But you don't. But you can't. Or can you control it? That's the thing, is like, some people think they can control it, but they can't. It's a monster that's constantly trying to. Their vices, and this is the same thing with drug addicts, same thing with any type of addict possible. The addiction is it gnaws at you, and when you try to get away from it, you can be cold turkey, you can go to meetings, you can do all that, but it's still going to be there, just gnawing at you, waiting to be there, to take over, to turn you from one way to another. Some people are like, I'm better as that other person, and then it's like, no, you're the person that blacks out and does stupid things and gets in trouble. It is like I said, it's a slippery slope. It's an interesting conundrum of that. I don't know. I really don't know. But what are your thoughts? Comment down below, leave me an email at Zan, that's XAN at Spiraken.com, or Spiraken@gmail.com, or tweet me at Spiraken. Even though I'm not reading any tweets for the next 3 weeks, I gave it up for Lent. Yeah, Catholic. I know. Shocker. But, you know. Anyway. Yeah. I got a message. Hold on. Oh. Got the message that this live went on. Only took 20 minutes. Crazy, right? But yeah. So, either way, what else are we doing? What else is going on with this book? Well, so there are tons of versions of this book. I found the graphic novel version. I was going to review that, but I figured I'd do the legitimate version. Ended up getting this version, the Penguin Classic Edition. It's a nice release. It's well done. Simple. Easy to read. I do have a digital edition as well, which is interestingly different because this one is the 2011 full edition. And this version, which I got a hold of through archive.org, is the edited edition from the 60s. So there actually was multiple versions of this book released, and there were some differences in the production release. The big one was that in the original novella, which was the 1891 full version, there was expansions from chapters 13 to 20. There's some revisions and some changes with that. Meanwhile, the uncensored novella, which is the 2011, which is this one, there's 500 words of text that were deleted by J.M. Stord, the initial editor. And also, it's Basil admitting to him that he's worshipped Dorian Gray with a romance of feelings, and he's never loved a woman before, which is the whole, as I said, the element of probably that's Oscar Wilde's avatar, the person that he is conveying himself in, where he's releasing those feelings that he had. And this is a book of vices and greed and consequences. And it's one which actually is now a banned book for all the things it preached. But should it have been banned? Will it have been banned? I don't know. It's a big conundrum. And I want to go more into this. I really do. I want to delve deep into it. But I feel like I'm just going in circles because it is one of those ones about the double life of an individual and the beasts that someone fights constantly, that humans go through, that humans have to deal with, the good versus the bad, the good versus evil. It's a book worth reading if you are a philosophy major, if you are someone who enjoys a well thought out novel. It's exceptional. Or if someone just wants to read something about the human condition, it's great. I will say, though, Lord Henry is someone who, when you're reading some of his statements, it is like, come on, man, you believe that shit? It's his statements on romance, like, oh, romance is bullshit. He's like, I'm married, but I never see my wife. I do my own thing. She does her own things. We meet up and then we talk about it. It feels very jaded. It feels almost satirical. But again, he is supposed to be the evil party, the devil on the shoulder. So it would make sense. But anyway, regardless, let me know your thoughts. Email me, zanspiraken.com, tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts on if you agree with me, disagree with me, if you read this book, if you're going to read this book. Let me know for the book club. And then last and certainly not least, the most important part about this, let's actually talk about this, and that is our release for next month for April of 2025. What book are we talking about? I put a poll up, and it's kind of interesting what we got for our poll. So we're actually tied because I put 3 books up. I have Rebecca by Daphne du Maureen. No one voted for that, so Rebecca is out. That's a horror story, so I'm surprised. Next one is I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. 20%. Only one voted for it. Kind of sad. And then tied for first place, we've got Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick and Howl's Moving Castle by Daphne Wynne Jones. And it's 2 really good titles to do for our next book club reading. And I don't know which one we're going to do. I'm really kind of on the fence. So when I'm on the fence of such things, we need some way to solve this. Now, on the one hand, I could use that one, not only the Wheel of Manga, but the Wheel of Manga I'm repurposing for some other things right now at the moment. So instead of that, we're going to use an easier and better way to decide this. We're going to use one of my all new, if I can open it. I cut my nails recently, so opening this thing is a little bit of a pain in the butt. And I dropped 2 of them. I don't know if I dropped a third. But I have a new pair of... there's the third one. A new pair of dice. These are specifically 6... These are dodecahedrons that are 6-sided, meaning there's 2 for each side. So what we're going to do is I'm going to roll one of these. I think I'm going to roll the blue one because blue versus red. No one's going to go blue. Going to go Jedi over Sith, always. I'm going to roll this and... Are we missing another? Nope, they're all there. So I'm going to roll this, and whatever number it lands on, that's what we're going to review. So we're going to say, to make it easier, so Howl is going to be H, which is 8. Howl is 8, and M is 13. So we're going to say that odds is Man in the High Castle, and Howl is even. Let's see what we're going to review. Number 4. So, looks like for the next month, we're going to be reviewing or reading for the book club, Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones. This is a little bit different than the Studio Ghibli film, but it's equally as interesting. There are 2 sequels to it. We'll talk about it and we'll review it in a month. We're going to say probably this. Actually, what is the... Let's look. Let's get my calendar up and we'll see. For next month, we'll say the 27th. The 27th of April, we'll continue this book club. But as usual, hope you enjoyed. I'm your host, Zan. I am Gonzville. Catch you guys next time. And keep reading novels. And let your comments be shown